Imagine being sold as a slave, only to become one of history's most powerful rulers. The Mamluks did exactly that, transforming from enslaved children into elite warriors who built an empire, stopped the Mongols, and created a golden age of art and science. Let's dive into how these remarkable warriors came to be. The Mamluks started their journey as young boys, usually around 13 years old, purchased from regions like the Caucasus Mountains and Central Asia. Their name actually means owned in Arabic, but their destiny was far from ordinary servitude. These children were carefully selected for their physical potential and quick minds. Think of it as an intense military boarding school. They lived in barracks, trained daily in combat, and studied everything from Arabic to Islamic law. The fascinating part? Their slave status actually worked in their favor. Since they had no family ties or local loyalties, they were completely dedicated to their military training and their rulers. This unique system created warriors who were not just physically impressive but also educated, disciplined, and incredibly loyal. Their rise from enslaved children to elite warriors is one of history's most remarkable transformations. The training these young warriors underwent was unlike anything else in medieval times. Picture this: dawn to dusk training in horseback archery. Yes, shooting arrows while riding at full gallop. But that's just the beginning. These future warriors learned to wield everything from swords to maces, mastering what we'd now call a full medieval arsenal. The really clever part? They trained in small groups called practice circles, where experienced Mamluks would mentor newcomers. Think of it as ancient special forces training. They didn't just learn fighting, they studied strategy, leadership, and even palace etiquette. After all, they weren't just training to be soldiers, but future rulers. The most impressive part was their horsemanship. They could perform acrobatic moves in full armor that would make modern stunt riders jealous. This intense training system turned these young recruits into the medieval world's most feared warriors. Now here's where the Mamluks' story takes an incredible turn. In 1250, something unprecedented happened in Egypt. The last Ayyubid Sultan's widow, Shatter al-Dur, took control after her husband's death. But this didn't sit well with many powerful figures. That's when the Mamluks saw their chance. Through a mix of political skill and military might, they supported Shajar al-Dur while gradually taking more control for themselves. Think of it as a masterful chess game, where each move brought them closer to the throne. The Mamluks finally seized power when one of their own, Aybak, married Shajar al-Dur and became Sultan. This wasn't just a simple takeover, it was a complete transformation of Egypt's power structure. These former slaves had done the unthinkable. They'd become the masters of one of the medieval world's richest kingdoms. The Mamluks revolutionized warfare with their extraordinary cavalry tactics. Picture a warrior standing upright on a galloping horse, firing arrows with deadly accuracy. That's Mamluk horsemanship at its finest. They introduced the concept of furusiya, a complex system combining horseback archery, sword fighting, and synchronized unit movements. These warriors could release up to 6 arrows in just 8 seconds while riding at full speed, an incredible feat that gave them a huge advantage in battle. They also pioneered the use of staged attacks, where waves of mounted archers would weaken enemy formations before heavy cavalry delivered the final blow. Their horses weren't just transportation, they were partners in combat, trained to respond to knee pressure alone, leaving the riders' hands free for weapons. This revolutionary approach to mounted warfare made the Mamluks nearly unbeatable on the battlefield. Let me tell you about Baibars, whose story reads like an epic movie script. Sold as a slave in Damascus for just 800 dirhams because of a slight defect in his eye, Baibars would go on to become the most powerful Sultan of Egypt. His rise to power was nothing short of extraordinary. As a young Mamluk, he quickly stood out for his exceptional military skills and sharp intelligence. During the Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260, he led the charge that defeated the seemingly unstoppable Mongols, a victory that changed the course of history. But Baibars wasn't just a warrior, he was a brilliant strategist who transformed Egypt's military and postal system. He built a network of roads and bridges, established a sophisticated spy network, and even renovated the Islamic world's holiest sites. Despite his humble beginnings, Baibars became known as the father of conquest and set the standard for all Mamluk sultans who followed. Let's explore the breathtaking legacy the Mamluks left in stone and marble. Walking through Cairo today, you can still see their architectural genius everywhere. The Mamluks weren't just warriors, they were master builders who created some of the most beautiful buildings in Islamic history. Take the Sultan Hassan Mosque, with its soaring 170-foot walls and intricate geometric patterns. These rulers used architecture to show off their power, but also their refined taste. They pioneered the use of striped stone patterns and developed complex muqarnas, those amazing honeycomb-like decorations that seem to defy gravity. The Mamluks also built madrasas, religious schools, that doubled as architectural masterpieces, with stunning courtyards and minarets that pierce the sky. Their buildings weren't just beautiful, they were cleverly designed to keep interiors cool in the desert heat. Even today, architects study Mamluk buildings to understand their brilliant design principles. Let's talk about one of history's most incredible military upsets, when the Mamluks stopped the seemingly unstoppable Mongol Empire. Picture this: September 3, 1260, at Ain Jalut in modern-day Israel. The Mongols had never lost a major battle, crushing everyone from China to Baghdad. But the Mamluks had a few tricks up their chainmail sleeves. Under the brilliant leadership of Baibars, they used a classic desert warfare tactic called the Kara Wafar, basically a medieval version of hit and run. Mamluk cavalry would attack, pretend to retreat, then turn around and strike when the Mongols least expected it. The Mongols, used to enemies running away in terror, fell right into the trap. The Mamluks also used the terrain to their advantage, hiding their main force behind hills until the perfect moment. When the dust settled, the Mongol commander was dead, his army scattered, and the Mamluks had done what no one thought possible: they'd beaten the unbeatable. Here's a fascinating quirk of the Mamluk system. They deliberately avoided passing power from father to son. Think about it. Even though these sultans were some of the most powerful rulers in the world, their own children couldn't inherit their positions. The Mamluks believed that only those who went through their rigorous training system were worthy to rule. A sultan's son, raised in luxury, simply wouldn't have the same warrior spirit or skills as someone who climbed up through the ranks. This created a unique meritocracy, where leadership positions were earned through ability rather than birth. Of course, this also led to some pretty intense competition and political drama whenever a sultan died. Different Mamluk factions would vie for power, sometimes leading to brief but fierce power struggles. Despite the occasional chaos, this system helped maintain the Mamluks' military excellence for centuries. Let's explore how these warrior kings created one of history's most vibrant cultural centers. Under Mamluk rule, Cairo became a dazzling hub of art, science, and learning. They built magnificent libraries that housed thousands of books, covering everything from astronomy to poetry. Scholars flocked to Cairo's Al-Azhar University, which became the medieval world's premier center of Islamic learning. The Mamluks were passionate patrons of the arts. They supported craftsmen who created stunning metalwork, intricate glass lamps, and beautiful illuminated manuscripts. They even revolutionized architectural design with their distinctive striped stone patterns and soaring minarets. Here's something fascinating. They developed an advanced postal system that could deliver messages from Cairo to Damascus in just 4 days. Pretty impressive for the 13th century. The Mamluks might have started as warriors, but they ended up fostering one of the medieval world's most sophisticated civilizations. The fall of the Mamluk Empire reads like the final act of an epic drama. By 1517, the world had changed dramatically, especially with the rise of gunpowder weapons. While the Mamluks stubbornly clung to their traditional cavalry tactics, the Ottoman Empire embraced new military technology, including muskets and cannons. When Ottoman Sultan Selim I marched into Syria, the Mamluks faced him with their classic horseback archery, but arrows were no match for Ottoman firepower. In the decisive Battle of Ridania, despite fighting bravely, the Mamluks' legendary cavalry charges crumbled against Ottoman artillery. Sultan al-Ashraf Tuman Bey II, the last Mamluk ruler, fought desperately but was eventually captured and executed. Yet here's an interesting twist. The Ottomans actually kept the Mamluk system running in Egypt, though under their control. The age of the independent Mamluk Empire was over, but their legacy lived on. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey through the Mamluk Empire's rise and fall. Their story shows how determination and skill can overcome any odds. If you enjoyed learning about these remarkable warriors, hit like, subscribe, and share their story with others.